decades ago, the world looked at economic status alone as a measure of human development. Thus, countries that were economically well developed and where people were relatively richer were called advanced nations, while the rest, where poverty was widespread and were economically backward, were called developing countries.
Most countries of North America and Europe, which had become industrialized at an earlier stage, became economically more advanced. They not only exploited their own natural resources rapidly, but they also used the natural resources of developing countries, growing even larger economies. Thus, the way development progressed, the rich countries became richer, while the poor got poorer. However, even the developed world began to realize that their lives were being seriously affected by the environmental consequences of development based on economic growth alone, because this type of development did not add to the quality of life as the environmental conditions had begun to deteriorate.
By the 1970s, most development specialists began to appreciate the fact that economic growth alone could not bring about a better way of life for the people unless environmental conditions were improved. Development strategies in which only economic considerations were used had begun to suffer from serious environmental problems due to air and water pollution, waste management, deforestation, and a variety of other ill effects that seriously affected people's well-being and health.
There were serious equity issues between the haves and have-nots in society, both at the global and national level. The disparity in the lifestyles of the rich and poor was made worse by these unsustainable strategies.
Many decades ago, Mahatma Gandhi envisioned a reformed village community based on sound environmental management. He stressed on the need for sanitation based on recycling human and animal manure and well-ventilated cottages built on recyclable material. He envisioned roads as being clean and free of dust. His main objective was to use village-made goods instead of industrial products. All these principles are now considered part of sound long-term development. Gandhiji had designed a sustainable lifestyle for himself when these concepts were not a part of general thinking.
Sustainable development is a pattern of resource use that aims to meet human needs while preserving the environment so that the needs can be met not only in the present but for generations to come. The term was used by the Brundtland Commission, which coined what has become the most often used definition of sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
Sustainable development ties together concern for the carrying capacity of natural systems with the social challenges facing humanity. Ecologists have pointed to the limits to growth and presented the alternative of a steady state economy in order to address environmental concerns. The field of sustainable development can be conceptually broken into few constituent parts: environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, social sustainability, cultural sustainability, and educational sustainability. Areas of sustainable development. An unsustainable situation occurs when natural capital is used up faster than it can actually be replenished. Sustainability requires that human activity only uses nature's resources at a rate at which they can be replenished naturally. Inherently, the concept of sustainable development is intertwined with the concept of carrying capacity. Theoretically, the long-term result of environmental degradation is the inability to sustain human life. Such degradation on a global scale could imply extinction for humanity.
The environmental economics became more important. The concerns for environment became more important, and when we talk about the environmental sustainability, it concerns more with the habitat, the living environment surrounding the human being, and the most importantly all species living in the biosphere. In fact, the unsustainability was because the concern was on man only, the human species only, the social aspect only. It was concerning for the development of man only. But when it became the issue of man and environment, it included both, and the area expanded to include all species existing on the earth. The ecology, total ecology became the focus, and from development we moved towards the sustainable development.
To ensure sustainable development, any activity that is expected to bring about economic growth must also consider its environmental impacts so that it is more consistent with long-term growth and development. Many development projects such as dams, mines, roads, industries and tourism development have severe environmental consequences that must be studied before they are even begun. Large dams, major highways, mining, industry, etc. can seriously damage ecosystems that support the ecological health of a region. Forests are essential for maintaining renewable resources, reducing carbon dioxide levels and maintaining oxygen levels in the Earth's atmosphere. Their loss impairs future human development. Loss of forest depletes biodiversity, which has to be preserved to maintain life on Earth. Major heavy industries, if not planned carefully, lead to environmental degradation due to air and water pollution and generate enormous quantities of waste that lead to long-term environmental hazards. Toxic and nuclear wastes can become serious economic problems as getting rid of them is extremely costly. Thus, the economic benefits of a project must be weighted against the possible environmental costs before a project is permitted.
The dimension of economic sustainability, when the means of production for exchange of economic values only included environmental economics, that means the ecological cost is also included, because just in terms of money the development is not sustainable. What justifies is environmental justice included in that, and by environmental justice we mean whatever the means of production or consumption values are there, they are not affecting the environment in adverse way. That is, the sustainability lies in those means of production, their consumption, which do not affect the ecology of the area of the nation or the globe as a whole. So, economic sustainability lies extending the linkages of economics with the ecology, and that is why ecological economics or environmental economics, they have become important area for consideration in sustainable development. The environmental economics talks about the capital stock, the natural stock, not only the labor and the productivity, but the impact of that labor and productivity on the surrounding ecology, and that is why economic sustainability is major concern when we talk about sustainable development.
Social sustainability is one aspect of sustainable development. Social sustainability encompasses human rights, labor rights, and corporate governance. In common with environmental sustainability, social sustainability is the idea that future generations should have the same or greater access to social resources as the current generation. Social resources include ideas as broad as other cultures and basic human rights.
Also, we can speak of sustainable human development that can be seen as the development that promotes the capabilities of the present people without compromising the capabilities of future generations. In the human development paradigm, environment and natural resources should constitute a means for achieving a better standard of living, just as income represents a means of increasing social expenditure and in the end well-being.
In sustainable development, social sustainability is also a concern because the social relationship decide whether the sustainable development will happen or not, or whether the attempts for sustainable development will be there, because the relationship among different groups matters a lot, deciding the social capital, economic capital, consumption pattern and the equity relationship between different groups. Particularly in India, where we have got this caste relations, they are the major concern, because of the caste there is graded inequality in terms of consumption of resources, not only in consumption of resources but availability and accessibility to natural resources also. Caste is a major part for the production relations. Caste decides the occupational pattern, and those occupational pattern traditionally in India are natural resource based. So, social sustainability lies in removal of all disabilities and discrimination based on caste. So, if we have to move towards sustainable development, we have to decide and resolve the caste issue in favor of equitable distribution of natural resources, and that too the caste pattern, when it affects or adversely decide the equitable pattern of natural resources, then the problem of unsustainability comes up. So, for social sustainability, it is important that caste and gender relations also. In social dimension, another very important area is gender inequality, because man and woman, they have got different accessibility towards natural resources use and its consumption. So, we have to resolve the issue of caste and gender inequality to ensure sustainable development. For sustainable development, the biodiversity base is important, so is cultural diversity. Cultural sustainability becomes another very important area for sustainable development. If the cultural diversity is more, then this will provide a broader base for sustainable development. More the diversity, more is the stable pyramid, whether it is of food or energy flow, and that is how the cultural diversity also ensure sustainable development. Monoculture societies, they have very adverse relationship with natural resources, the ecology, and that is why when we consider tribal society, it is very close to nature. But the tribal society and non-tribal society, when they are together living adjacent to biospheres or tiger reserves or our environmental preservation areas, then definitely they sustain. And we have got some societies, some samaj, caste like Vishnoi Samaj, they protect the environment. In fact, for them the environment is like God. Wildlife, they can sacrifice their life to protect the wildlife adjacent to their areas, and that is how we must learn. Different cultures have got different meanings towards the environment, understanding the environment, and they have got different interactions and interlinkages with the adjoining environment. So, more cultural diversity means more cultural sustainability. For sustainable development, therefore, cultural sustainability is very essential dimensions.
increase access to formal and informal education, work for ecological and social literacy for all age levels and sectors of society, promote education that empowers people and is holistic, integrated, interdisciplinary and issues-oriented, improve the collection, management and dissemination of information about natural and social system and about the causes and consequences of ecological and socio-economic problems and trends, increase public recognition that population growth, poverty, rising consumption and harmful technology can all contribute to ecological and social decline.
Education is key to development, and education for sustainable development can only ensure our common future. The education system that we have today is not very much concerned with the participation and attitudes toward environment. For that we need to evolve education pattern which is conducive for sustainable development, and for that education for sustainable development, the acronym ESD has become very essential rather. In educational pattern, it is not only the learning or the skill development, but participation attitude towards the environment, preservation, conservation are essential dimension for that. Environmental education is for sustainable development, and at every level of schooling or college life, we must develop the pattern, the curriculum conducive for environmental education, because by environmental education only we can have the positive attitudes toward environment, we can involve participatory approach for environmental conservation, we can have the skill development so that the students they learn how to live with the environment, how to protect their environment and how to protect their future. And sustainable development is about our common future, and education can only guide us towards our common future. Education can only sustain our world, our living, the only planet perhaps in the universe which has got life. So environment education or education for sustainable development rather will be the most crucial dimension of sustainable development.
Population growth. In 2012, the world's population is about 7 billion. It has doubled since 1967 and in the next 50 years is expected to reach about 10 billion. The highest population growth is in the poorer countries. Populations in the West are growing, but at a much lower rate. There are about 5 people in third world countries compared to only 1 in Western industrialized countries. Energy consumption. The Western countries use far more energy. The average person uses about 40 times as much as a person in the third world. However, if all the third world countries became developed and their energy use increased, there would not be enough oil, gas and coal to go around. Resources consumption. The West represents about 20% of the world's population, but uses over 80% of the world's resources for its energy needs and for its industries. Again, there would be a problem of insufficient resources if all the third world countries developed in the same way as Western countries.
So for sustainable development, we have to think about the overconsumption pattern, and besides that there are asymmetry relationships also. Asymmetry relationship mean equitable distribution of resources not there, equitable distribution of income is not there, and the natural resources which are globally shared are not shared equitably, and that is how we see the major causes of unsustainability existing in the society.
We as citizens of our nation and increasingly as citizens of one common future at the global level must constantly monitor the pattern of development. If we see that a development project or an industry is leading to serious environmental problems, it is our duty to bring this to the attention of authorities, such as the local administration, the forest department, or the pollution control board, to look into the issue. Further, if new development projects are being planned in and around the place where we live, it is our duty to see that this is brought about in accordance with environmental safeguards. While we all need to think globally, we need to act locally. We have to see to it that we change development from its present mandate of rapid economic growth without a thought for future ecological integrity to a more sustainable, ecologically appropriate strategy.
If new projects of a large size are to be passed, the government has made it compulsory that the summary reports of environmental impact assessment has to be published and a public hearing be conducted. It is essential for all of us as responsible citizens to read, evaluate and respond to such public hearings held in our area and to comment on the possible impacts of such projects.
In many situations, there are proponents of project who only look at their own rapid economic gains. It is for citizens as concerned individuals and groups to counter these vested interests so that our environment is not degraded further. Life has to be made more livable for all. We cannot support the economic growth of one sector of society while we permit environmental degradation to destroy the lives of the less fortunate.
Benefit of sustainable development is for humanity. If sustainable development is not there, then a point may come, a day may come where our future, our common future will not be there in healthy terms, in ecological terms. We may not have the pure air to breathe. We may not have healthy food to eat. We may not have the conducive environment where life can exist. So it is not just the question of humanity, but the life as a whole. And as pointed out, the only planet that we have perhaps in the universe is our earth, our mother earth, and our common future depend on how we treat our mother earth. And sustainable development only can ensure that kind of development where our mother can sustain our life in a healthy manner and our common future can be saved. For sustainable development, therefore, the very important aspect to consider is not of the humanity but life as a whole. We have to preserve, conserve our life, and for that we must march towards sustainable development.
Many agencies are involved in monitoring and regulating the development. In India, we have Central Pollution Control Board and Pollution Control Board of States, which work as watchdog for the pollution level and also give green signal to a particular project after a thorough check of various parameters. Local administrative bodies of cities also have the right and power to inspect and even stop non-environment friendly activity. Large projects like dams, mines, roads, industries and tourism have severe environmental consequences are to be passed through environmental impact assessment. Then only they can get a non-objection certificate from Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Many NGOs, non-government organizations like Chipko Movement, Apiko Movement, Narmada Bachao Andolan, etc. also play a vital role in conserving environment.
For framing policies for sustainable development, role of different agencies are important. NGOs play a very important role but we have also to explore vision of eminent personalities like Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, who envisioned future society, and they had thinking how to provide resources for our society, how to use the available resources, and how our future society will require resources, and Babasaheb Ambedkar played a great role there. He is the person who gave us a kind of water policy which is very important in global terms for sustainable development, because he considered environmental resources for the best advantage to all sections of the society. He was not just thinking in a narrow perspective, but his vision was a very broader and for a long term. His water policy, for which he considered water is a resource for all, that means he considered no provincial boundary can limit the river, the flowing water, and all people of nation, all citizens, they have equal right on that water. He considered waterways like railways. When we travel in rails, we do not feel we are passing through different provinces. We do not feel whether Gujarat has passed and Maharashtra has come. But the river disputes that we face today, whether it is Narmada river where Gujarat and Maharashtra and neighboring states are fighting, or it is the issue of Ganga and Kaveri, only Babasaheb vision can be helpful, and it is very relevant to resolve these issues. Once water become a central subject, that means like railways, we will have waterways, and such disputes will not occur.
The world today is roughly polarized between the prosperous and the poor, though we prefer to call this division by fancy names like the developed and the developing. Now, in this mad race for so called development, the immediate victim most certainly is the depleting natural resources, but ultimately the victim is the entire human race. It is therefore imperative that we stop, turn back and take a look at the damage that we have done, damage to the environment and to the society. And then we must consider how best we can remedy the situation for the future. The only hope seems to be in sustainable development, and this sustainable development has to be all round: environmental, social, economic, cultural and educational.